All right. So let's see here. The again, I think we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, but we're hosting a series of webinars specifically for the members of these housing plan steering committees like yourselves. But they're open to anybody who wants to attend to sort of be able to provide some more information on questions that come up a lot and that are kind of important in terms of making sure that we have the right goals and strategies in the plan that is developed. So the first one is coming up next week. It's how is affordable housing funded in Northwest Connecticut small towns. So it'll give some kind of case study examples of, again, some of the other affordable housing in the region and how they were funded. And again, people will be able to ask questions about that issue. The guest speaker, David Berto, is basically the consultant that works with really all of the local affordable housing organizations in Northwest Connecticut to help them get funding for their projects. So that's the first one.
Are they going to
invite? Yeah, go ahead.
You're going to send out invites or?
Yeah, I will follow up with the flyer on this that actually has a link to the registration for each individual webinar. So they are open to everybody, but we are going to ask people to register in advance. And yeah, so I'll send that separately as a follow-up.
And do you know, are they scheduled to last an hour, hour and a half? What do you know?
I scheduled them for an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm hoping the presentations will be like, they might be like 25, 30 minutes, and then we'll have time for questions. And so that's what I scheduled them for. The second one is how much affordable housing do we need? And the third one is why does our town's housing not meet the needs of seniors and young people? And that's Sean Geo from the Partnership for Strong Communities. They're the ones that created those housing data profiles for every town in the state. And they do a lot of work around the state in terms of housing advocacy. So, and of course, we will record all of these and have them available for people who want to listen to them later, who can't get there, or who maybe aren't interested in the topic now, but might be down the road. So those are coming up. The other thing we're going to do, again, with all that hopefully will benefit all 9 towns in our region that are currently working on housing plans, is we are going to partner with this young filmmaker from Canaan, Connecticut, Ted, who's actually also working with us on a series of videos showcasing young workers in the region to try to attract young people here to fill jobs that are currently open in our region. So we're already working with him on that project. So we've asked him to do this new project, which is to film some of the existing affordable housing that we have, again, to just show people what it looks like in context, and sort of short interviews with the local volunteers who created that housing about how that has benefited their town. And then we can use it during, future public forums. Again, just sort of, we might do like a couple 6-minute videos or one longer or 8-minute video, but they'll be short and sweet, kind of edited down, but so you can see what it looks like. So, yeah.
You don't want to show the Eldridge Housing Project on there?
I've never been there. I've never driven down
Come
that
on
road.
down.
We can. I just I was trying to sort of pick a cross section of different projects, and but if you do you think that is important? Do you want us to film there?
It doesn't really matter to me.
I don't have you on the short list.
It was built in the 80s. Just saying,
Yeah.
not beautiful, but
I think it's adorable.
well.
It's completely adorable.
It is.
Well, we might
It really is. I mean, the residents are allowed to garden in and around their unit. They really make it personable. They have a little patio in the front of their
Yeah.
door, a little patio in the backyard. I think it's great.
Well, the other thing that's kind of too bad about this project is that we're doing it in the winter. Because we want to get it done so that we can show it at upcoming forums. But we're thinking about, we might be able to expand it and do some more filming at different places during the summer. Because I think showing some of these with the great landscaping that they have, and like you're saying, the residents at a lot of these have, beautiful land, flowers and, gardens and stuff. And that would be fun to show too. So we might be able to do more when it's greener.
Yeah, might be a little prettier then.
All right, so that's the plan. So we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, but kind of the this housing plan process, at least in the way that I've been envisioning it, we would have at least a couple opportunities to try to get more residents involved in the conversation and understanding that the town is creating a plan and why. And so this would be the first such forum where, again, we're trying to get people that don't think about housing or affordable housing every day to understand a little bit more about why the town is creating a plan. Here comes Connie. Is again just a there's Ben. This is just a draft agenda for the kinds of things we could talk about at the forum. For example, why are we doing this? What types of housing does Morris need? Give them the summary of the survey responses from both residents and workers. We could talk about the existing affordable housing in town, Eldridge. Have Jim talk about that maybe, or or Kristen, and then have an opportunity for questions and comments, and then talk about kind of the next steps in the process.
Do you want to add a bullet point there for addressing head-on the money question? Because I think there's a lot of wrong assumptions about that.
Yeah, one of the things we could do kind of in the first agenda item is also review some of the frequently asked questions. I think, do you feel like that's addressed in there? I can, but yeah, I can make sure that's kind of, by the money question, you mean, is the town going to have to pay for it?
Exactly, because some of the visceral negative reactions are, we can't afford it, and it's going to be a terrible blight on our town.
Right.
So I would think we would want to try to defang some of that sentiment if we can.
Yeah, maybe just a section on how are most of these funded, like the other ones that they're going to be in the video. How do they fund?
Yeah.
And then the video to show how beautiful they are and what good neighbors live in them.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't think the video I'm not sure if it'll be done by, so I was thinking, I went on your town calendar to try to figure out some possible dates where there aren't other town meetings scheduled. And so March 15th or March 24th are the ones that stuck out. We might have it done by March 24th. I'm just not 100% sure. But we could also use the video in a second public forum. Does anybody have feelings about the date?
I'm fine with either one. 24th gives us more time. It's up to you, Jocelyn.
Yeah,
Either way is fine with me. If you want to have a shot at showing the video, we could do the 24th and see how it goes.
Okay.
Is that good with you, Tom?
That's good for me.
That's Wednesday night. So in terms of speakers, so this is kind of the agenda. This doesn't have to be what we would send out. I had this, you know, I'm working with the town of Washington, and they were like, I gave them an agenda that looked kind of like this, and they're like, this looks so boring. No one's going to come to this. And it is true that we, you know, we want people, again, who aren't, you know, it'd be nice to have folks, again, who don't think about this all the time and who aren't already either adamantly opposed or adamantly in favor, but just your typical person, resident. So if you guys can think of a way that we can, you know, get people who, other folks to, like, one of the things we talked about in Washington was sort of heading it up by saying, you know, how can we attract young people and young families to our town? How can we make sure seniors can afford to keep living here? That was the stuff that appealed to them and that they thought would get people to a meeting. And then we just focused more on the guest speakers that we were going to invite rather than listing the agenda on the flyer. So again, I don't know what you guys think in terms of what might appeal to folks who, you know, who we'd like to have come out and hear more about why we're doing this.
I just had a conversation with someone today who, his mother lives in Torrington right now, and he wants to get her closer to Morris because of her age and medical issues. And he's very interested in Eldridge, but I think there's probably a 2 to 3 year waiting list there. And it'd be much better for his mother and for himself if she could be right here in Morris, you know, 2 miles up the road from his house. So, I mean, that's obviously for the older people who want to be here in Morris, but you definitely have to reach out for the younger people that would like to stay here or come here.
Maybe you could rewrite item number 2 on the agenda to, you know, lead with or include those more interesting topics of, you know, Morris needs more housing options for both its seniors and for young families. Just steal whatever Washington comes up with and stick it in there.
All right.
I mean, don't they have lots of authors there, or am I thinking of Roxbury?
They have huge marketing budgets. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they're not directing it, any of it, to the housing plan.
Oh.
But no, that's fine. I can do that here as well. And then again, one of the other things we're doing is sort of focusing on what some of the speakers. Do you like? I mean, I think it would be great if we could get some folks like Tom. Do you think that guy would be willing to come to this forum and say that?
You know, he might. I'll ask him if he would.
Okay, and then let's see. Like, Kristen, would you be willing to speak about kind of the community at Eldridge and or housing needs that you've seen or?
I just love public speaking. So of course I will I'll take one for the team, and yes, I'll
Okay.
come up with
great.
something. No
Um,
problem.
Well, it is Zoom public speaking, which I think is a
No.
little bit easier.
Not really. I mean,
No.
I guess. It's especially easier for me tonight because I can't see any of you. So it's working out really well for me. The most I've spoken since we've been meeting.
Do you think that the statement like the one that Ben Pletsky got from Jessley Pineda from I2 Systems would be helpful to see if
Yeah.
someone from I2 Systems would be willing to come say something like that at the forum, either this one or the second one? That, you
I
know,
think
they
that would be
love.
helpful for two parts. One is it might be showing that they're trying to expand their workforce, which is a positive, and also their workforce can't contribute to the community, which this could potentially solve. So I think it would be impactful to have the town. Are they the town's biggest employer next to the school? Probably.
I have to imagine they are. I mean, just by the number of cars in their parking lot.
I think they're at like 130 or something, and they
Yeah.
want to hire 20 more people. So
Okay.
that wouldn't be a bad. I think that would be a good speaker.
I think Jessley
Since
is
she-
the right person.
Sorry.
I'm just wondering if Jessley would be the right person from I2 or Mark, or I'm not sure who.
I don't know if Mark does that stuff, but we could.
Kind of stays in the back a little bit.
Yeah, but at any rate, if someone, or if you want me to ask Jessley to see if she could give a few minutes to this, that would be helpful. It'll help. This will ultimately help them, so I don't see why they wouldn't want to do this.
Yeah,
that
that'd
would
be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we decided on March 24th at 7 o'clock, and it will be a Zoom meeting. So if you could find out if she could do that, that would be great.
I guess.
Are there any other people that we should try to get to speak and or, you know, things that you think would make people want to come? I know we haven't taken you up, Kristen, on the sweaty basketball t-shirts yet. That's always in the offing, right?
Yeah, of course. Just getting sweaty and moldier by the moment. Yes. But I actually don't know if I really have any of those. I mean, I might, but I think I have baseball hats.
Oh, all right.
I legitimately have baseball hats with an M on them. So that might be, you know, a little more appealing, actually.
Yeah, if you have them and they're not moldy, we could have, you know,
Yeah.
a raffle. If you attend the Zoom meeting, you're entered into a raffle for a limited edition
Exactly.
Morris,
Circa
you know,
probably
collectible.
circa 1985 or something. I don't know. Way
Ooh, that's
back.
valuable.
Ooh, are they made out of double knit polyester?
I think they might even be. Let me go see if I can find one. They might even be here in the office. Hold on. I'll model them for you.
I was
We
thinking
could,
if,
we could get you to like autograph them maybe and enhance their value.
We know how great in the
If Jessley
19.
can't make it, we could always ask her to do a video perhaps, and we could post her video for her speech.
Jocelyn, it's Connie. I apologize for coming late. I was on another meeting. But have we ever talked about the Habitat for Humanity and if that would be something we could have a division of it or a group here or a committee? Have you ever discussed that?
We haven't kind of gotten to the stage where we're talking too much about solutions, but no, we haven't talked about Habitat for Humanity. I know that I'd have to look at whether I don't think Morris is currently served by any of the chapters that I know of.
No, I don't think so. I've been getting an awful lot of emails and information about it. That's why I brought it up.
about habitat in other
Yeah,
places.
if it's something we could consider.
Definitely.
Other subject, I happen to have a lot of swag from Bantam Lake Protective, if you wanted to do something with some of that.
Well, I don't know, Kristen, I like that hat.
I love that hat.
Yeah.
Maybe we should all wear them to the meeting.
Oh, yeah. So we're more easily identifiable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
See,
mean,
we'll be the
there's probably-
focus of everyone's adulation. Yes.
I have about 12 or 15 of them in the box. So
Well, I think you should put that hat back on. I should take a screenshot of you and we'll stick it right on this cover of the flyer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far, Jocelyn. No,
I didn't
know.
see it. Put
These
it
are for
back.
your eyes only.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna revise this flyer somewhat. I mean, we have another, we don't do it till March 24th. We have another meeting between now and then anyway. But it would be good to at least get the save the date kind of thing out sooner rather than later in whatever way we can. So maybe that's like, I can't remember, what did we do? Could we get a brief blurb, Kristen, in a e-newsletter?
Sure.
Um,
In one on my email contact list, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you doing, so I'll just send you something, a draft of text.
Okay.
Um,
Just to save the date kind of thing, you mean?
Yeah, with like, this is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
And be sure you attend for your chance to win
yes.
and customized Morris.
Limited
baseball.
edition craft
Yeah. Vintage.
heirloom. Vintage, that's the word. Yeah. Limited edition vintage Morris piece of memorabilia. And don't tell them what it is.
Right. They're
Right.
really not that bad. I mean, they're kind of
No,
nice.
I think they're nice.
For
Yeah,
the 80s, yeah.
right.
They're great.
Looks like Wayne's World.
And
I got a little bit of a problem with the color, but I don't want to go there.
yeah, well, I'm glad it stopped at M. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Well,
Okay.
it's just in tune with James Morris being, in Region 6 being red. That's what, that's all. That's where it ends.
Yeah.
So
It is-
any other ideas for people who we would want to speak? I mean, if we come up with other ideas, I'll send around a revised kind of flyer that calls out the speakers and the topics in a way that might be more interest to folks, but
You had
Anybody
Jim Simon Sully, right, on the list?
yeah.
I think you'll get a lot more people to attend if you put your name out there instead of mine. So
Whose name?
Jocelyn's.
Oh, Jocelyn's, yeah.
All right, great. So I will work on getting you guys a revised version of this and we'll plan for it for March 24th. And we'll have one more meeting to touch base before that happens and talk about the agenda and everything else. So I don't know how many of you got a chance to look at the housing needs assessment slides that I made. I was thinking in this section of this agenda where we talk about what type of housing does Morris need, I could run through some of those slides. Do you want me to, do you guys want me to go through them real quick right now or?
No, if people didn't read it ahead of time, they can read it after, unless there's something you want to. I don't want to be penalized for having done my homework. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'll do is I will just share the final summary slide.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Let me just pull that up. All right. Sorry. Okay, so, because you all probably already read this, I'm not gonna go through it all. But, you know, if you read it again later and there are piece of information that don't make sense to you or that bring up other questions, again, I'm happy to answer those. You know, the summary, which kind of summarizes everything in the other slides, is probably not shocking to most of you, but bigger. Trying to get my. Okay, Morris's housing stock is not diverse. 91% of your houses are single-family detached homes. That's compared to like 70% in Litchfield County as a whole. This is not uncommon in Northwest Connecticut, but again, it just shows that you don't have kind of a diverse range of housing stock for different, you know, needs that people have at different times in their lives. Morris's homes are large. 64% of your homes have 3 or more bedrooms. There's a lack of rental housing options. Only 10% of your housing stock is rented versus almost 20% countywide and 30% statewide. Limited housing options that are affordable for many people who work in town. Limited senior rental housing, we just talked about those 2 points already, and that Morris currently has 31 affordable homes, which is 2% of its housing stock. And almost 270 Morris households are currently housing cost burden, which means that they're paying more than 30% of their income on housing costs. So I was just gonna, at the, you know, I don't know, Ben, if you felt like this was too much information, not enough information, but I was gonna kind of fly through it a little bit, just to sort of show people what, you know, what the housing.
No, I think it's all good information. I just don't like meetings where we're, you know, someone puts up a PowerPoint and then reads everything to you. It's, you know.
Yeah, I know.
So that was just tonight, but in terms of educating our fellow citizens of the town, the more information, the better.
Did anybody else have anything that the slides brought up for them or questions?
Actually, I have a question, Jocelyn. What is an 8 dash, what is that? GOG appeal?
The 830G, that's the state statute that basically says that if your town doesn't have 10% of its housing stock as affordable, and this is your, you know, this is what counts for them, then basically a developer could come in and override your zoning regulations.
By offering a certain amount of affordable housing, right?
Correct. Yeah, as long
as part of the development.
Yeah, they would just have to, 30% of the units would have to be affordable, and then they could basically build at whatever density they want. I mean, they still have to meet health, you know, they still have to meet health and safety requirements, but you know, this is basically the 830G kind of is what, frankly, a lot of affordable housing organizations have to use in order to, because the zoning regulations, you know, sometimes won't allow the type of housing that they would like to build. So,
Jocelyn, could I just mention something? I think that the lake and the homes around the lake skew some of this information because a lot of the people, it's their second home still, they're large homes.
yeah.
The other thing that happened in the rental area, which also throws things, over the last few years, people don't rent their homes anymore for the summer that much. A few people do, but they're doing the Airbnb and they're renting them out by the night. So I
Right.
think there's a lot of these numbers, I don't know that they're really right for our town. I think it's skewed a little bit.
What do you mean by these numbers? Do you mean the,
I mean, the lake houses are
I
here,
mean, I
Connie.
think-
They're part of town. I mean, they are what they are.
Here's my pontoon boat.
But we're trying to get things that are homes that are affordable for people. They'll never be affordable around the lake.
Hmm.
I mean, the median rent around the lake is not $1,700 a month.
No.
Well, also, I'd say the median rent in Morris is around 700 a month. I'm not sure where that comes from either, because I wish.
I meant 17, I'm sorry.
17. I wish that was the median as a rental owner. I wish that was the median rent. It's
Right,
much lower.
right, yeah.
well, but I do think this is what comes into, like Connie's saying, some of the things that are rented. I mean, you know, you've got this $1,700 a month thing here, you know?
Yeah, but I thought you put that on there as a shock factor or as an anomaly to kind of get people thinking about like that.
Well,
That clearly is a.
This is literally just the 3 listings that are on realtor.com today.
But no one. But that's where I would go for a vacation rental. You know.
I know. I'm just saying that this median rent is the Zillow numbers. And honestly, these are the latest they have available are from 2017. But you know, they take the median of all rentals in Morris, including these crazy ones.
But that's not the like
Zillow's not known to be accurate.
when they're administering Section 8 and they have a lookup table for the region, the median rent number was much lower than the 1,700 number.
Maybe
Yeah, but
they
this
took
is
the lake out of
this
the
is the
numbers.
median rent in Morris.
Yeah, no, when they're determining Section 8 subsidies, if you're a 1-bedroom apartment, they have a lookup table that they use for Morris. And I am nearly certain that that number is under the 1125 number.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm asking you guys is, like, this is what the data is telling me. If you feel like it's not, like, we should look into, you know, any of these slides seem inaccurate to you and we should look for more data, I'm happy to do that.
My comment then would be the initial bullet point there is suspect. And if I were at a meeting and I saw that, I would challenge it, and then I would start buying rental apartments as fast as I could, so I could rent at $1,700 a month.
Jocelyn, would it be feasible to take the lake out of the picture? Because we all know, as someone said, there will never be affordable housing on the lake. And because then the numbers would probably change if we took the lake out of the
No,
I
equation.
think even-
I don't have any way of doing that. I mean, a lot of this data is American Community Survey data. You know, it's 5-year average data that, you know, but it's the latest available, but it's from 2018. So I guess what I would say is, again, if there's something that feels, I do feel like the ACS data generally gets to helping understand the trends that are happening in the town. And, you know, again, generally the fact that you've got, you know, such a huge portion of your housing is basically all the same thing. Single family detached. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to jump on this slide, but the third slide, what is vacant housing? I mean, we have 34% of our stock is vacant.
Veronica, you're echoing.
Yeah, I'm gonna as soon as it lets me halfway through.
So,
Okay.
all right, so this is, again, the way that the census data says, kind of asks the question around, whether, so any house in Morris, for example, that is a weekend house or that's only used seasonally or occasionally shows up as vacant in the
Isn't it
ACS
rentable
data.
normally?
Sorry?
Can it be like a rental? Like Connie was saying, it could be an Airbnb, it could be a monthly rental, it could be.
No,
It's kind of weird to call it vacant, but
Well, there is a subcategory called vacant for seasonal or occasional use.
We're
And that's
talking about
what most of these vacant homes fall into. So, again, what I'm showing on this graph is really the increase of seasonal homes or weekend homes over, this.
it's probably shown a lot of Marsh Point, I guess, which is all seasonal.
Well, there's 453 homes that are classified as weekend homes.
Yeah, just coming from the insurance line, vacant doesn't really project a great, I don't know, idea
Yeah,
here.
I mean, I can call it something different. That's just what the census data calls
Okay.
it. I
Yeah, I
can
was just
call it weekend homes.
Lightly used or
But the
I-
point,
I-
my,
yeah,
I
they can
guess my point is that 30% of 34%, and again, we know that COVID has changed this somewhat, and that a lot of those units are now being used more year round.
Well, maybe instead of
but-
vacant, just say 34% are seasonal, occasional,
Right.
or recreational.
Yeah, I'm happy to make that change. I just, again, the point is that there's a big portion of your housing stock that's only used on weekends or occasionally,
Right.
Right, but
Not
it's a fair
available.
point that that's not vacant. But,
Yeah.
because
What's the
vacant
more-
would mean maybe it's on the market and it's available.
Right.
What's the importance of saying a space is, seasonally or occasionally used versus what's the relevancy to affordable housing to that number?
Again, because you've got 34% of your housing stock that's not available to people year round.
But that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with affordable.
Well, the more of your housing stock that people from other places own,
Right.
and they're bringing so I'm pretty sure it's true in Morris as well. There's a lot of folks here in Salisbury that they work in New York City. They're bringing their New York City wages and buying up sometimes affordable houses in our town and using them on the weekends. So it's just, again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just another factor that's different for Morris than some other town, a lot of.
Yeah, I understand the parallel you're drawing. I wouldn't, I wouldn't put a lot of weight in that correlation, but I do see your point. Like someone might take a seasonal place and make it a beautiful lake house that's on, Marsh Point or something like that. But,
Yeah, again, this is just sort of supposed to kind of be some information around what your housing stock looks like.
yeah, okay, fair enough.
But
And not
Jocelyn, I think that number is pretty much right on. It might be a little less than it was years ago, but that looks like about right. I think the number is right. I think the word vacant is wrong. You could just change it, but I think that's
Yeah.
a fact.
Change it. Anybody else have any questions or concerns around anything else on these?
What-
And again, we can talk about it again at the next meeting as well, but.
One of the other reasons I was concerned about the $1,700 a month trigger was that it seems like the rental market and the home buying market are mostly impacted by interest rates. So right now rates are very, very low. So when you see a $1,700 a month rent, it's usually cheaper to buy. And that's why we're always in this bucket where you're not going to see too much over 1,400 because you start getting into this middle ground area. And so right now rates are low, so there's
Yeah,
just
my
not a lot of,
mortgage is less than that, yeah.
yeah, but the problem is there's just not a lot of inventory
Right.
across the board anywhere. It's not a Morris problem. It's an everywhere issue.
All right, well, I guess I'll, again, I'll encourage you guys, if you have any specific, when you look through these slides, anything else that jumps out at you as things that we should, change or look up more information on, I'd be happy to do that. Things like the vacant, I mean, it's a good point and I'm happy to change it. It doesn't jump out to me because I know what it means. But I do think that's important for us to make sure that we don't, that if we're presenting it publicly, we're not giving people the wrong impression. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing that and go back to where are we? All right, I did want to let you know that you got more responses to the housing survey from residents. So you had 83 last time we talked, and now you have 138,
Oh, good.
which is pretty good. It's still open and people can still take it. I saw that it is still on the top of the town website today. I think we can keep it open unless you guys think there's a reason to close it.
Keep it open. Any fun comments?
Yeah, I'll send you the comments.
That's what I care about. This data.
Yeah, that's the best.
The entertainment value.
Yeah,
What's
I
bloopers reel?
I'll send you the survey results. Great. Yeah, most of the stuff didn't change too much, but there are some new comments in there. The work survey I just got out to you guys like a week ago or something. So there's 17 responses to date on that. I know Tom said, Tom, you got it out to town employees and the school.
Yes, yep. It looks like the school responded.
Yeah, it looks like we've got the most responses from education, which is probably the school employees. So I think, Ben, were you able to get it to I2?
No, but I can send it over to her. I just emailed Jessie about the March 24th thing, and when she responds, I'll send over that survey.
Okay, that's terrific.
I forwarded it to Bella Luna, the little gift shop here in Morris.
Okay.
I don't know how much of an impact that'll have, but I did my part.
No, that's great. I mean, again, anybody who can think of any way of getting it to employers or, and or directly to people who work here and, who work in Morris, that would be great. So we'll keep that open and hope to get some more responses. Next steps, again, the forum will be March 24th, 7 o'clock via Zoom. I'll get a blurb out so you can get a save the date out as soon as possible. I don't know whether you want to also do outreach in town about the webinars. We talked about this in Washington and they felt like residents might be confused about all the different forums and that maybe the priority for them was that they get residents to come to their specific town forum. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they decided to only kind of internally pass around the webinars. So like they're going to pass it around to their Board of Selectmen and their Board of Finance and Planning and Zoning Commission members, but they're not going to put that on Facebook or the town website. So that's really kind of up to you guys, but I will
So
send.
Tom, do you think you think that's a good idea? We should do that here, and you should do that here in Morris and make it available to the departments and stuff?
Yeah, I think that'd be the way to go.
Makes sense.
Too many webinars, and I think people would kind of get, like you said, confused or maybe lose interest, and they won't show up for the one they should be at, really in the end.
Mm.
And possibly win a baseball hat.
And
Can
Tom,
can members-
how many of these people even can figure out how to do Zoom? Look at my inland wetlands group. You know what I mean?
Are we meeting next?
Yeah.
All right, so the next meeting of this group is March 11th at 5:30. And again, that will be before the forum, so we can touch base about that. And I'm hoping to have some sections of the housing plan, the kind of stuff that we've already talked about, like the needs assessment and some background information drafted, so that you can kind of see what it might look like, and that it's starting to come together. So I think that's all I had on my agenda. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about?
That 10% figure that has been set for having affordable housing in your community, don't you see that changing? I mean, there's getting a lot of backlash on that from all the rural areas up here. I know we can't talk about character anymore, according to what I heard today on one of the legislative meetings. But the 10% is just something we can never probably really reach, given the topography and everything else in our towns. Do you see that changing?
I don't know. I mean, so many of these legislative proposals, it's really hard to see them going anywhere. I honestly don't think it will change things much for our towns if it does go from 10% to 5%, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't change that much. And honestly, I don't really talk about 830G all that much because, land is so expensive in our towns. And we don't have very much on town water and sewer, if anything, in most of our towns. So there isn't really that much of a scare factor really in our towns that a developer is going to come in and override our zoning regulations.
Right.
So,
Although
and
they did
frankly,
find-
again, the way I've seen 830G used is to get projects done that the community wanted anyway. Like, and the Litchfield Housing Trust has had to use 830G in order to get, 8 affordable homes built because the neighbors didn't want 8 homes in their neighborhood.
Right.
And so I think whether it's changed or not, it's not really gonna change things much for our towns. That's my opinion on it.
It's interesting.
Well, yeah, there's not a lot of places where you can put something because of septic water.
Yeah, I mean, the for-profit developers that do 830Gs and they have, 30% of the units are affordable and, the rest are market rate. I mean, they have to build a lot of units in order to subsidize those 30% affordable units. So you just can't, I think the closest town that has an 830G from a private developer is maybe New Hartford.
Mhm.
And they have water and sewer. And I can't remember offhand how big that project is, but it's just not that much of a issue for us. I mean, I think in terms of a goal, I mean, you guys are at what, 2% now? I mean, I think it would be terrific goal to get to 4% or 5%.
We just need 30 more units, really.
Right.
I really like Ben's idea about trying to somehow loop the foreclosure homes that could use a little help and turn those into affordable housing because they already have septic and water as part of the plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. Again, as we've talked about before, it requires that you have a local entity to do it, and that they will either have to fundraise, or as you'll learn if you go to the affordable housing webinar, they'll have to do a larger project.
Maybe IT Systems could put a second floor on and just have on-site residents and water and sewer right there. And
That's
It's in my neighborhood, Ben.
it's you.
It's literally across the street from me. They've
Oh,
already
it's down
blocked
the
the
street from
view,
me.
so why not? Sure, more the merrier.
Or dig down. You can go up, you can go in the ground.
Oh,
You have
yeah,
all these
because
options.
it goes, I think the land slopes down from there, so they could just put a bunker, that has
There you go.
views out toward Mount Tom.
Too bad the, well, and then the property behind is all under conservation, right?
Eventually, yeah, I think
The
so.
property behind it that was Barbara Rails, they are looking to sell it, but the development rights were sold to the state years ago. You can
There
only,
you go. We have two competing programs that are
Now, is there any,
Jocelyn, how was how was the housing thing in Litchfield funded? Is it totally funded by the town?
This latest Litchfield Housing Trust development?
Yeah,
No, it's state funded.
oh, it is.
Yeah, the towns really don't typically fund the construction or maintenance of affordable housing.
Which is why I want that up front at our forum.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, in that case, I believe the town provided the land that the housing was built on.
was that
Which is it?
supposed to be the courthouse land at one time?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Now, as far as land, are there funds out there like USDA or whatever? Because there's two parcels adjacent to the Eldridge housing right now that are for sale. There's a possibility you could actually expand right there for the senior housing. But obviously, it's going to take a lot of money to purchase that property. It's available.
what's the listing price?
And you've got the water problem there.
Yeah, I mean, that might actually help them with their water issue too, because
Yeah.
like total of 5 wells on that property.
I
2
know.
that they can use. But it'd be good to have some money to purchase the property, and they could expand the senior housing a little bit.
Mm.
If we could, I mean, because again, the tricky thing right now is that you don't have a Morris Housing Trust or a nonprofit that's mission is to do housing. If we could find funding, would the town purchase that for additional affordable housing, Tom?
I can't answer it, at a town meeting, we could answer the question.
Yeah. Because I can, did we already talk about what that land is on the market for? Like what the prices are?
No, I haven't heard.
I don't remember.
Famagetti's, and then there's the
There's 2 lots.
doctors.
Yeah,
The
Can you
Handelman
go-
property is
that's sold.
something
That's under
$1,000.
contract.
Oh.
Connie, would you be able to find out for me?
Absolutely.
And then I will, depending on how much it is, I can look and see kind of what the current funding rounds are.
Okay.
Obviously, that would be, as I mentioned, I don't think you were on yet, Connie or Ben, but I'm meeting with the Morris Housing Authority on Monday. I'm on their agenda to talk to them about the housing plan and what's happening. And obviously, we wouldn't want them to be adamantly opposed to the possibility of more units in that area necessarily. So it'd be nice to.
Is that going to be a Zoom meeting, Jocelyn?
Yes.
Okay.
And it is, it's on the town website.
They'd be, their opposition would just be more traffic, or you just don't know?
Oh, no, I'm just saying I want to just talk to them generally about the fact that we're doing a housing plan and
Yeah.
the fact that it has come up, the possibility of, you know, having more units in that area.
Tom, the
Then we
only,
know
the only issue I could see would be if the outlet to 109, if it, there would have to be some traffic review, I guess, but it would be a
Yeah.
awful place to put a light if the traffic reached a point where it was impacting 109 traffic.
I mean, again, I don't think you're talking about a lot of new units, so
Mm.
I sort of doubt it's gonna create a big, I mean, I would think you'd be
It
talking about.
probably wouldn't make a difference, but someone would have to, like, with a PE, just vet that and. get
Yeah,
permission.
of course. All
Yeah.
right. Well, we're on time. Anything else people want to talk about before we adjourn for tonight?
I'm good.
Right, hearing none.
Thanks, that was great.
Yes, I'm looking forward to
I
the
look,
webinar.
look forward to getting the links so I can register for all those webinars, because I don't have
Yeah.
enough webinars in my life.
I bet not. If
I
only
look
you
forward
could
to
watch a-
reviewing the survey. Yeah,
if only you could watch a webinar while cross-country skiing.
that would sort of defeat the whole
Yeah,
purpose.
I guess
Work on
That'd be
Wi-Fi.
some intense multitasking.
I don't do that. I like to be communing with nature. Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thank
All
you.
right.
See ya.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.